What happens when hockey's golden boy falls for the guy who makes his blueberry banana smoothies? Not exactly the headline Scott Hunter expected, but definitely the story that changed his life. Today, we're diving into one of the most iconic love stories in Heated Rivalry, Scott Hunter and Kip Gardner. Scott is everything the league wants him to be. Team captain, media darling, and the very definition of pressure. Kip, on the other hand, is a low-key art history student, a part-time barista, and someone who has absolutely no interest in fame. What starts as secret meetups in luxury apartments, and yes, a very specific pair of neon green, lucky socks, slowly becomes something much bigger. This isn't just a romance. It's the story of a man learning to stop hiding, both on and off the ice. So grab your favorite drink, and let's break down the unforgettable evolution of Scott and Kip.
Welcome to Nagi Recap!
It all began around September of 2013, in New York City. Scott is having a rough season. The media and fans are on his back because he hasn't scored in 6 games. Yet he's still set to captain Team USA in Sochi. One day, after a sweat-drenched run, Scott ducks into a local cafe. There, he meets Kip, a handsome barista caught napping over an art history book. Once awake, Kip suggests a custom blueberry banana smoothie that isn't even on the menu. The sparks are instant. Between the eye contact and the body language, it's clear there's an undeniable magnetic pull. The smoothie is great, but Kip is even better. So Scott leaves a massive tip that leaves Kip stunned. At first, Kip has no clue who Scott is. But the moment Scott leaves, another customer points out that he's a national hockey icon. Following their first encounter, Kip starts following hockey. His friends even tease him about how Scott said his name twice in such a charming way. Kip assumes Scott is straight, but his friends joke that maybe he could bend him. Interestingly, Scott immediately regains his form, scoring a hat-trick that very night. To prep for his next game, Scott returns for his lucky smoothie and leaves another generous tip. By now, Kip knows exactly who he is. Their polite flirting is so obvious that Kip's coworker, Maria, can see exactly what's brewing. Being pursued by someone famous, handsome, and rich makes Kip feel like he's flying, but he's still hesitant to believe a perfect guy like Scott could actually be into him. His best friend, Elena, tells him to get smart and switch shifts so he can see Scott more often. Taking her advice, Kip greets Scott before his next game. This time, Kip treats Scott to a drink to return the favor. Instead of rushing off, Scott asks to stay and work on emails. We all know he's not there for the Wi-Fi, he's there to watch Kip. Before leaving, Scott builds up the courage to invite Kip to his game that night. Kip brings Elena, who teases him for being addicted but shy. Thanks to her, their unconventional first date goes well, even if they barely speak. 2 days later, Scott's team plays Ilya's team in Boston. Of course, Ilya is still a world-class trash talker, mocking Scott's performance all season. Later, Scott gets into a scuffle with Shane in Montreal, which shocks everyone since Shane is usually the calmest guy on the ice. Kip, watching at home with his dad, feels uneasy and brushes off his dad's jokes. The next morning, he's late and stressed about working a catering gig at a fancy gala. In the rush, he spills a tray of food right into Scott. While Scott is a total gentleman about it, a wealthy socialite nearby makes a rude comment about Kip being just a pretty face who can't hold a tray. Kip fears he'll be fired, but his manager is lenient, knowing he needs the money for tuition. Later, Scott finds Kip to apologize and asks him out for dinner. Who could say no to that? Scott waits for Kip until the end of the shift, but the restaurant Scott picked is packed, so he suggests getting takeout and heading back to his place. It's a luxury apartment, and while Kip is admiring the view, things get heated quickly. Their chemistry explodes, and they share an incredibly intimate night. Kip tries to slip away in the morning, but Scott asks him to stay over. The next morning, Scott wakes up to the smell of a blueberry banana smoothie Kip made for him. Overwhelmed by how sweet Kip is, they share another passionate moment. Scott admits he's never actually dated or brought anyone home before. Being a pro athlete makes things complicated, he can't come out yet. Too many people depend on him. But with Kip, he's ready to break his own rules. He asks Kip to move in, and caught up in the romance. Kip agrees. And so, their passionate, secret relationship begins. Kip has to lie to everyone. He tells his dad he's living with Elena and tells his friends he's too busy with work. In reality, he's spending every second with Scott. His friends know something is up, but they stay out of it. For a while, they enjoy a cozy, domestic life. However, reality sets in. Kip realizes Scott might never be ready to go public. Their love only exists within four walls. This becomes painfully clear when Scott panics during a date at an art gallery. Even in a disguise, the fear of being recognized makes Scott so uncomfortable he has to leave. Back home, Scott tearfully apologizes, admitting he doesn't have the courage to step into the light yet. Kip supports him, giving him a pair of neon green socks to wear during games so Scott always feels Kip is with him. And it works. Scott plays better than ever with his lucky charm. Eventually, Elena corners Kip and tells him she knows the truth. Kip admits they've been together for 2 months and that he's happy. But Elena is worried. Even Kip's dad senses the distance and asks him to visit more often. At a gala Elena invited Kip to, Scott buys him a stylish tuxedo. Scott is there too, acting like a stranger when they cross paths. It's awkward, but Elena introduces them officially to break the ice. She then asks Scott for a dance, using the opportunity to confront him. She tells him that while he's a great guy, Kip is suffering in silence. Loving Scott in the shadows is taking a toll on him. Her words hit Scott hard. He realizes he hasn't done enough. Elena insists that while Kip is strong enough to bear the sadness for love, he shouldn't have to. Kip deserves the light, Scott, and so do you. Deeply moved but still terrified, Scott still can't bring himself to go public. After the gala, he picks Kip up at the back entrance like a secret. At home, Scott wants to celebrate Kip's birthday alone together. But Kip wants to go to a local gay bar where his friends are throwing him a party. He wants Scott to come as a friend, but Scott refuses. He loves Kip, but he's not ready. Maybe in a few years, but not now. Kip understands. He heard Scott's speech at the gala and knows the team is his family. But Kip has a family too, and he's tired of lying. Hurt, Kip decides to go home to his dad that night. Scott, haunted by Elena's words, has to let him go. On the way home, Kip thinks about Scott's past. Scott lost his parents at 12 and hockey was the only thing that saved him. The team is the family he needs. Right now, hockey is his everything. When Kip sees his dad, he breaks down in tears. A few days later, Kip celebrates his birthday and his grad school scholarship at the bar with friends. Outside, Scott watches from a distance, unable to join. 4 months later, Scott and his team arrived in Sochi for the 2014 Winter Olympics. That day, at the coffee shop where Shane sat distracted, waiting for a text from Ilya that never came, Scott walked in with a teammate and took a seat nearby. At some point, that teammate mentioned the courage of athlete Joe, who, despite being openly gay, still chose to compete in Russia, a country that was far from safe for people like him. The comment lingered. It left Shane thinking of Ilya, and at the same time, it made Scott falter, just for a moment, as if someone had touched the one truth he'd been trying hardest to hide. In the days that followed, Scott kept playing, he kept winning, and he kept wearing the socks Kip had given him, even though the two of them were no longer together. Time passed, seasons change, and eventually, the story reached the 2017 finals. Just as Yuna had predicted, Scott's team did exactly that. They won the championship. It's a moment of pure euphoria for the team. But as the ice fills with players embracing their wives, children, and parents, Scott stands there completely alone, amidst the sea of happy families. He looks heartbreakingly isolated, with no one by his side to share his greatest achievement. That profound loneliness is exactly what sparks his courage. He searches the crowd until he finds Kip, who is watching him with tears of joy, realizing that Kip is the only family he truly needs. Scott decides he's done hiding. Scott signals for Kip to come down. He pulls him to the center of the rink and gives him a passionate kiss, telling the world exactly who he loves. The crowd erupts in cheers. And in the end, Scott Hunter didn't just win a championship. He won the freedom to finally be himself. The last episode begins with Scott's Player of the Year award ceremony. During his speech, he comes out as gay and admits that his coming out was so loud it overshadowed his club's trophy win in the media. But he also realizes the importance of being open. Previously, he always had to hide his true self, living among crude guys who used gay people as the butt of their jokes, to the point where he sometimes didn't know where he belonged. He did everything to protect that secret. Though exhausted and lonely, fear always kept him withdrawn. However, thanks to Kip and Kip's love, he found the strength to overcome that fear and come out. He knows his coming out will motivate young people out there who are harboring the same fear. He ends his wonderful speech by thanking his team and especially Kip, who is watching the show at a bar. He says, "I want to share this with you. Kip, you've made me better in every way possible. I love you." Truly an acceptance speech that sounds like honey to a lover's ears. What makes Scott and Kip's story so powerful is how real it feels. In the hyper-masculine world of professional hockey, Scott's fear of coming out isn't exaggerated, it's painfully believable. After losing his parents so young, his team became his entire world. The idea of risking that love was terrifying. And that's where Kip changes everything. Kip isn't just Scott's boyfriend, he's his safe place. The calm to his pressure. The sunshine to his grumpy, tightly wound exterior. That kiss on the ice, followed by Scott's MVP speech, delivers a simple but powerful message. Love doesn't weaken greatness, it unlocks it. Once Scott stops hiding, he doesn't lose anything. He becomes a better leader, a better player, and a happier man. Their story isn't just romantic, it's a quiet, hopeful reminder that living your truth can change everything. So now I want to hear from you. What was your favorite Scott and Kip moment? The secret smoothie orders? The socks? Or that unforgettable trophy speech? Drop it in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into the Heated Rivalry universe, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more recaps like this. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.
Dominique et Nick s'en allait tout simplement, routier, pauvre et chantant. En tout chemin, en tout lieu, il ne parle que du bon Dieu, il ne parle